Hello, welcome to Post-Colonial Space. I'm Masood Raja, and this brief video is kind of a supplement to a supplement, in addition to a video that you might have just watched or come across, and that was my brief lecture on the question of value and how it is socially produced, and you can watch it right up there. And of course, in that brief lecture, I forgot to touch upon the very big elephant in the room as I was discussing that value is socially produced, and I was connecting it to my lecture on Terry Eagleton's Introduction to Literary Theory. I forgot to mention the term ideology, right? So, of course, it goes without saying that the social itself is ideological. And within that, the values that are produced, the values with which we judge literature or the aesthetic or the politics are created within that ideology. So the value system entirely is ideologically produced. But there's another distinction that we all should also make is when we use the term ideology, which definition of ideology are we using? So I thought it would be better to clarify that here. If you're going with the concept as theorized by Marx, ideology, the model we call the epistemological model of ideology, where ideology is this system of knowledge that sort of makes us see the world a certain way, and the revolutionary act is to remove that veil so that we can see the real. Right? Now, post-Lacan and post-structuralism, we already know that in the symbolic order, the real is accessible only through language and only through discourse. So the ideological model that Althusser develops is the idea of ideology as already existent. We all are subjects in it, and we all exist in ideology. There is no outside to it. And if there is no outside to ideology, that means that we can't take a person outside of ideology and place them outside of it, face to face with the real. Now, all we do is shift from one ideology to another. Now, if we apply this concept of ideology to the production of social value or the production of evaluating tools, then we realize that even if we shift our position from one to another, that still would be an ideological position. Because in Althusser, ideology is not the veil that hides the real from us. It is, according to Althusser, the mechanism through which we make the word intelligible to us. Right? So if we keep that in mind, that means when we encounter a text, the way we read it, the way we assign value to it is because we are making that text intelligible, understandable, valuable to us within the parameters of ideology within which we exist. Now, pedagogically, this is a really interesting insight from Althusser, because what it teaches us that if we want to teach our students to evaluate literature differently, we will then have to introduce them to a different ideological mode of evaluation, a different mode of value or looking at value in order for them to see the text differently. So overall, it's pretty clear in Eagleton's chapter that when he mentions that value is socially produced, he means that it's ideologically produced, and I just took it for granted and never really touched upon it in the previous lecture. So please do keep this in mind, that for Eagleton, value is socially produced, and that social and how we value things is ideologically produced. And then keep in mind the varied explanations of ideology itself. I hope this helps. Let me know what you think, and please watch this in conjunction with my previous lecture on the question of value in literary studies, and it will show up over there. Thank you so much. See you next time. Stay safe, and as always, peace and love.